love that Aussie skateboard. Good evening, people. It's Hump Day. Another edition of Boiler Room Radio coming at you live on UCY.TV, exclusively on Jules Network. Tonight I have with me Mr. Caleb Leverett. Now, I dropped a video on my Twitter earlier today, and I dropped it a little bit earlier this week, and I think over the weekend I dropped it about 3 or 4 times. This gentleman is one of the most excellent parents I've ever seen in my life, and I want to give him a chance to tell his story on my show. So, Caleb, welcome to the Boiler Room Radio. I'm sorry that your son couldn't be with us tonight. I really wish he was here too. I'd like to get his perspective on things. Maybe we can hit that another week. But introduce yourself to everybody and kind of give them the rundown on the video, what happened that night, and how everything's going since.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Yeah, Parker is out at the farm. My family lives north of where I'm at, about 20 miles, in a little community called Gardendale, Texas. And it's pretty much where he longs to be, he loves to be. He's loved the place ever since he was born. And I gave him the choice. He actually texted me and said, "Hey, dude, am I supposed to be there for an interview tonight?" I said, and I wound up calling him and said, "Hey, dude, sure, people want to hear about you, but if you're happy there, if you're fine there, it's your choice. You own." And I keep telling him this all the time, dude, you own yourself. I don't own you. Mom doesn't own you. The government thinks they own you, but they don't. You own yourself, and nobody else owns you. You don't own anyone else either. And he just went on to tell me about how long he's been riding the horses out there today. They're actually planning a chicken slaughter. And so he was excited. He was excited about doing it. He'd never done it before, and he was excited to be part of it. And I said, dude, do what you do and have fun. Be 14 years old and just catch up on the life that you've been robbed of for quite some time.
I've got to tell you, Caleb, when I watched that video, I was stunned at how adult your 14-year-old child is compared to, I'm going to say 85% of the people that I meet on a daily basis. And I want to know, and I'm sure everybody listening wants to know, how did you accomplish that in 14 years? And what do you have to tell parents out there? If you folks haven't seen this video, I'm going to go grab it here while Caleb's talking and drop it into the chat room. And if anybody's out there that's not, I can't remember the name of the video. I'll get it here in a minute. But
you just type in 14-year-old Parker defends his rights.
Yeah,
it should pop up.
He's an amazing kid. Tell me, break down what happened that day. Let everybody know how it went, and then we'll get into your parenting skills and where you gathered all that from here in a little bit. Go ahead and give everybody a background on the video, and I'm going to drop it in the chat room here.
Okay, well, the background on the video is he is my oldest son. I'm a father of 4 children, Parker, Hayden, Blaine, and London. London is the baby. She's my little girl. And he's expressed to me that he's wanted to live with me pretty much ever since his mother and I divorced in 2007. It was a textbook divorce as far as lots and lots of lawyers and lots of court dates, et cetera, a lot of money changing hands, and his mom and I became less wealthy, and the lawyer and the system became much more wealthy. And you do what you have to do whenever we live in a society, the state of society that we live in. I did what I have to do. I'm going to be involved in my kid's life to the best of my ability as much as I can. And to his mom's defense, she's going to be involved in their life as much as she can. And I don't blame her for that. She wants to be involved. We simply just have disagreements on how we want to raise the children. And we pretty much got backed into a corner. Like I said, he's expressed to me he wanted to live with me since 2007 when he was 8 or 9 years old, and trying, going through the court system, trying to negotiate with his mom. And before I go any further, I like to say this. I'm not here to badmouth his mom, and my objective of posting the video was not to badmouth his mom. Is like I said, we were both backed into a corner. We didn't know what else to do. He was at a breaking point. He was fed up.
You could see the frustration in his face. I mean, the way that he remained calm up until the time that his mom started grabbing in the window and stuff, and then he had to literally grab a hold of her and push her back out. It was, I mean, he was just so phenomenal. I don't have any kids, and this kid blew me away, man. You blow me away as a parent.
Well, thanks. And just so you'll know up front, I've never met before. I don't take compliments very well. I've learned to say this. All I can say is thank you.
Yeah,
I don't take compliments very well at all.
That's all right.
However, my son, he's being proclaimed a hero from people literally all over the world. We added up the ones that actually said where they're from. It's about 10 or 11 different countries, and I'd say he is the hero. It's not me. I do involve myself as much as possible with my kids, and I never get violent with them. We don't yell, we don't scream. If I ever do raise my voice, it's simply because there are 4 of them, and I'm not saying our family's perfect by any means, but it's like they'll do what young kids do, and they just get loud, and if I raise my voice, it's simply like, hey, hello, I'm over here. Okay, let's calm down. There's obviously a breakdown in communication. Let's figure out what happened, and let's talk about this in a peaceful and have a peaceful resolution to it. And they'll give me their side, and both, you know how arguments go with kids.
Yep.
And I simply say, well, okay, that's a fair argument. But Parker, or London, or Blaine, or Hayden, do I speak like that? Do I yell at you? Do I just shout and all in order to resolve arguments? No, Dad, you're cool to talk to. You're fun to talk to. I said, well, okay, well, I'm living by example. And that's what I've always encouraged my kids to do, because I was spanked as a child. And this is not a slam on my own dad. My father and I, we talk every day, literally every day. I work for him, we subcontract for him. And we talk every day, and we have our disagreements, and we've had our talks. And I admittedly did spank my children as a young parent, though it hasn't happened in many, many years. And at the same time, I've literally, and I mean literally, got down on my hands and knees on more than one occasion and asked for forgiveness from each one of them for doing that. Because what few times I don't sleep at night, it's usually because I've got nightmares of doing a dastardly thing such as spanking. I think spanking children is an authoritarian, a way of trying to get your point across without taking the time to get down on their level, find out why they were disgruntled or not doing what they need to do, or whatever it is they've done, destroyed property, yelled at their siblings, picked a fight with somebody, or whatever it is. It's simply because I believe parents we're so busy in the state of society that we live in that we don't take the time to spend with them, to get down with them and say, hey, let's strike the root. Let's find the root problem and let's go there. Let's not just keep yelling insults and going back and forth.
Are you willing to take a few calls?
Certainly.
Okay. I'm going to open the phones to everybody if you want to call in and ask Caleb any questions. If you have not seen this video, go see it. It's unbelievable, the calm and the maturity in this kid. 718-717-8296. I wish Parker was able to be with us, but he's not. His dad's here, Caleb Leverett. Outstanding parent. I wanted to give him a chance to get his voice heard on my radio show. He's got his own radio show. If you want to plug your show, go ahead, man.
Well, I just started a radio show back in November of last year on libertymovementradio.com, Mondays and Thursdays. My partner and I have been Farmer. I say partner. He's the Schmohawk chief. All of our listeners are Schmohawks, and they all know it. But hey, I've been Farmer now. We do the radio show Mondays and Thursdays. So.
Good. You want to give everybody a little bit of background on this video, why it happened, what happened that day, just to let them, to kind of give the people that are maybe out there listening and don't have a chance to hit the computer right now and go check it out for a minute.
Sure thing. Yeah. We, like I said earlier.
Oh, yeah, we got a caller coming in here. Just 1 second, caller. I'll get you in here in just 1 second, okay?
Sure.
Like I said, Parker and I were backed into a corner. He's expressed many times, according to him anyways, that he, to his mom, that he wanted to live with me, and we'd not have any success. And so I just said, dude, there's nothing I can do as far as the state mandated orders. It's in the decree. I am merely ordered to, and enforced by law, to drop him off at his mom's residence, which is what I did. I fulfilled my obligations. I showed up there. The 3 younger ones got out. He simply refused to get out. And as a voluntarist myself, I refuse to initiate force against any human being who's not initiated force against me. And I was not going to I was not going to boot him out. So I simply pulled out the camera, and the camera was simply there to A, keep everybody honest, and B, if there's going to be violence initiated, the camera was going to record who was going to initiate the violence. Was it going to be his mom, his stepdad, or them in concert with each other, or the police officers? Unfortunately for us, the whole thing ended in a peaceful resolution, and there's no violence ensued.
After an hour, though, an hour plus of her just, I don't want to drag her through the mud either, but she was being pointless. I mean, what was the point of her argument? I understand that she's his mother, but I'm pretty certain that from the age of 12, the court gives them a choice as to whether or not they want to go with the mom or with the dad. So long as nobody's got a serious mental background or criminal background, there's no real hickey in the court system as far as I can tell. I mean, I haven't been in the court system, so I don't know nowadays, and it gets kind of creepy, but, as far as I know, it would have been a no big deal, and you guys could have taken it. She should have just backed up, let it happen for a few days, get the lawyers involved if that needed be, and get it hashed out. I don't know why she went off the handle like she did and calling the law, and oh my God, it was just.
Well, and threatening prosecution, threatening, what was it? Not suing, but assault charges, threatening assault charges. But it affected him. And he, if you've not seen the video, for those that have not seen the video, it affected him greatly to threaten assault charges on.
Yeah, that's when he started crying. That's what drew a tear to his eye, and that's what made me start. I was like, "Oh my God, I can't!" It was hard to turn the thing off, man. It really was. And the caller just dropped off. Hey, caller, if you want to get back on, call back in. I'm going to go to you just as soon as you call back in, the 310 caller. And anybody else wants to call in and ask any questions or bring up anything, 718-717-8296. Open phones tonight. Are you going to stay with for the whole 2 hours, or are you just going to be in for the hour?
I can go at least an hour for sure.
Okay.
I play everything, but I'm a horrible planner.
Okay.
I don't plan very well.
I am too.
And I get a lot of, maybe part of my criticism is justified because maybe I didn't plan this event out very well. And honestly, when I picked them up 2 days earlier for my state mandate or state privileged visitation, we didn't have this planned out. But he had made a decision. He just had enough. Parker had drawn his line in the sand, and he had decided to not cross over it. And what
there was something kind of hinted at that there was abuse going on in their house, and when you look at the stepdad, he's a big Neanderthal looking thick neck guy. But he seemed like a pussycat when the cops were standing there because they had guns. He didn't really get all flared up or anything, which I kind of credit him for. But was the abuse coming from him being the stepdad, or was it coming from the mom, or how did all that go out? And I mean, is there any legal repercussions from any of that, or?
Obviously, I'm not privy to that information. I don't live in the house. Certainly don't have cameras or anything going in there. So I can't speak from firsthand information.
Right.
As far as who the stepdad is, Jason, I've known him since high school. Just like I knew the kid's mom in high school. We started dating right after high school. But other than that, I mean, I don't really think it's fair for me to get on here and just trash him to people who don't even know who he is. To the best of my knowledge, my kids have never told me that he's, blackened their eye or sexually assaulted them. That's just according to them. Now, if it's happened, they've never told me about it, and so that's all I can go on. And
Right.
I try my best not to jump to conclusions on things. I've got my suspicions on some things, but as far as Parker expressed in the video that about his mom having her hand around his throat and him backing him into a corner. That's all really I can go on, and I don't think it's fair for my son's sake or even the stepdad and his mom's sake to make judgments on that and accuse them of something when I have absolutely zero proof. It's not like I've got.
Oh no, I was just wondering if there was any background to that. I didn't know if that was an ongoing issue or. I had no idea, so I just thought we'd touch on that first.
No, that's fine. And again, I'm just answering questions. I mean,
Yeah.
you're not bothering me at all. I promise. I've been grilled, there's been over 3,000 comments in there, and I've tried my best to read all of them. The vast majority are in support of Parker and myself and our actions. But there's always the typical trolls that are. This thing has gone so viral, I'm kind of wondering, I'm to the point now, I'm wondering if some of these trolls are actually hired to do what they're doing. So, believe me, any questions you have, it's not bothering me at all, and I certainly don't mind answering them. But I'll give it as honestly as I can. As far as accusations that Parker made in the video, honestly, you pretty much know as much as I do. I have no concrete evidence of anything other than what Parker said in the video.
Has the mother pursued her legal recourse like she said she was going to, or since this came out, has everything been hunky-dory and smooth? And I know you've had visitations since, and everything's gone A-okay?
Yeah, actually, I released the video on June the 6th, I believe. Mm-hmm. I'd actually had it uploaded on the day it actually happened, which was the day before Memorial Day. I think it was the 24th or the 25th, and I had it set to private. I wasn't going to release it. And I even made a public statement on Facebook that I hope, yes, I do have video evidence of what happened. Yes, my son is living with me, but I certainly hope it doesn't see the light of day. And after, I've also made this publicly, after the kid's stepdad, Jason, admittedly, after confronted by me and my son, trespassed on my land and left a box on the last day of school at the entrance of my shop, which is where I live. I've got a small apartment here in the shop. He said, "We miss you." And then I dropped him off at school. We had put the box in the dumpster, which was right on my property, right next to it. And when we got back shortly after 4 o'clock, when he was released from school, we found that the box was not only dug out of the trash can of the dumpster, it was placed right in front of my gate, which is obviously on my property, with another box that says, "We still missed you." So I gathered up the boxes. I drove literally around the corner, which is where he works. It's about 200 or 300 yards as the crow flies, and Parker and I walked in there, and we were greeted by a woman who opened the door. Come to find out, Parker recognized her as the owner of the company, and I said, "I think you're one of your employees. Drop this off at my shop," which is my apartment where I live. She says, "Well, do you have any idea who it was?" And I said, "Well, I don't have any proof of who it was, but I suspect I do know who it was." And he came around the corner, and I handed him the boxes, and I said, "I think you dropped this." He said, "No, I put it there on purpose." And that's when I got the information I needed, that he had admitted to being on my property, and I told him to stay off of my property. He then asked me if I realized what I was doing is illegal. I turned around and said, "Stop me." And we walked out. He came out and told Parker that he loved him, that he missed him, and no more words were said. We drove off, and I came back to my shop, and I released the video because I was irritated about someone totally disrespecting my property, trespassing, digging through my garbage, and putting the box out there as if he didn't know they didn't miss him.
That's just, some people go to extreme lengths sometimes, and you can't ever, I never second guess anybody anymore. Nothing ever surprises me anymore as to what people will do in certain situations. how has this affected the other kids? I mean, have any of them expressed interest in staying with you also, or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I say this a lot.
You see a huge legal battle coming up in your near future?
No, I see cameras and I see new technology and I see YouTube as a way of getting my point across. I wish no ill towards either of them, none whatsoever.
Now, she seems very litigious, though.
I have been sued for full custody in 2009. I was remarried shortly after my divorce from her, and she sued me and my new wife and drug both of her parents into, and we were, and I'm not just flippantly saying this. If I really have to pull out the papers and publish these, I can do that too. We were all four accused of sexually molesting my then, I guess she was 5 or 6 at the time, sexually molesting my 5 or 6-year-old daughter at the time. And as you can imagine, didn't go over very well. It went over about as well as turn a punch bowl.
That's why do people have to go there? Because even if you're proven innocent, you're still stained for the rest of your life. That kind of shit follows you around forever.
Sort of, except I'm a believer in. I love the new technology. Sure, that stuck around for a while. The kids at the time were in a private school, and one of their teachers actually got on court and testified against me and said something to the effect of, when Blaine, who's my youngest son, the third in line, when he comes back from being with Caleb, he is much more aggressive. And I didn't really appreciate that very much, but, it is what it is. And it did stick for a little bit, but I'm not one to just bow down, bend over, lick the boot of the authoritarians and the opinions of others. I will fight back. I will defend myself and my family, and I did. And again, that's part of the reason, or most of the reason, for posting the video. I'm fed up. My son was fed up. He just flat out could not get his point across that he wanted, and it's obviously proof in the video, he wanted to live with me. And I didn't know what else to do. We were backed into a corner. So like I said, the video camera was pulled out to make sure that everybody behaved. And if they didn't behave, it was going to prove who initiated the violence, who initiated the force, whether it be his mom or his stepdad or the police or any of them in concert with each other.
Yeah, speaking about the police, do you have those officers' names off the top of your head by any chance? Because I'd like to give them a nice big shout out and pat on the back. These two guys know exactly what their job is, and they know exactly what the law states, and they did their jobs. Congratulations to both of those guys. I hope they go far in the police department. Yeah,
I do. There are officers Brandon Spinks and Officer Rocha. I didn't catch Rocha's first name. It's Officer Rocha and Brandon Spinks of the Odessa, Texas Police Department, and I commend them. I even posted it on the video in the description. I gave their contact, not their personal information, but
for the department, for people to call
the Odessa Police Department.
Yep.
And that being said, I'd like to add this because I know I'm going to get some critics for people who follow me and know my opinions that I have on cops. I'm not anti-police. I'm not anti-police officer. However, I'm a voluntarist. That's the polite way of saying an anarchist, because the A word tends to scare people. They think we're Molotov cocktail throwers, and that's simply not the case. I'm just simply against entities having a monopolistic force on the use of violence. I just don't think monopolies are very healthy for society. They are a product of fascism and or government intrusion. And, it's not real hard to find stories about officers abusing their authority.
Shooting dogs, tasing children.
Yes, yeah. It's not very hard to find. It happens
we cover that
very,
all the time.
very frequently. So, as you can see in the video, my ex-wife tried to get me to talk to the officers about my opinions of them, which I made it very clear in the statement, and so did Officer Spinks. he even said, Mr. Leverett's opinion of me is completely irrelevant. And we pretty much said it at the same time. It's kind of hard to hear, but we said it at the exact same time. That's completely irrelevant. Yep. They were polite to me. They were polite to my son. And in my opinion, they were very professional in how they treated all characters involved in the entire situation. And I see no reason to be disrespectful, be rude to them. I was assertive, as were they. They respected me, and I respected them. And I think that's the way it should be. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. Right. These guys were spot on. I think they were spot on correct in how they assessed the situation, how they handled the entire thing, and I think they should be commended. Well, I wish more police officers and forces would see the video and
act accordingly.
And give a big props to their officers who handle things. And that I was even complimented for filming the entire incident.
The thing that blew me away, and this is why I wanted to give Brandon Spinks, I'm glad you had his name there, Brandon Spinks, I want to give him a superb attaboy because he came onto the scene. He talked to her. He talked to you. He walked back around to the other side of the truck. He continued to talk to her. He explained to her what the law was. He said that she is within her full rights to try to get the child out of the car, being his legal guardian and mother. So she attempted to, and as soon as your son showed resistance, he said, stop. This is going in the wrong direction. This is turning into a dispute, not a discussion, and now I have to step in. And just kudos to the guy, and he was the one that looked at you at the end of the video and said, on your way, pointed down the road and said, you are free to go. And you put it in drive and took off. And, wow, I mean, the whole video just blew me away. It literally did. It blew me away. The calm that your son exhibited, we got to get him on. We got to, in a couple of weeks, or maybe next month or something, I want him on my show because I really want to get his side of this whole take,
Okay. He's only done one interview.
I mean, it's totally up to him. I'm just saying, that's my want.
Well, he did want to do it, but you got to remember, he's 14. He's not
right.
Just because Dad's on the radio all the time doesn't mean he's good at it. And he said he's a little uncomfortable doing that first one, but I'm going to go ahead and give a shout out. It was Jeff Maxon. He was a 15-year-old young man who gave the interview. I became aware of him because of some mutual friends of ours, Dana Martin and a couple of others. And I thought that'd be an appropriate, at least a starting point for, they're at least, really, really close in age. And so that he didn't refuse to do it. He's busy cutting up chicken, Jim.
Right, I got you.
Let him cut up his chicken.
I got you.
I'll talk to him for sure. And
if he's nervous, we can even do a tape thing, and it can only be
that's fine. I mean, I'm not trying to speak for him, but I mean, when he was on the radio, I thought he did really, really well. I was real proud I was real proud of him.
Awesome.
I've always told my kids, and you can even hear me say it in the video, just speak truth. If you speak truth, then you don't have any theft to worry about. Oh shit, are we FCC'd?
Nope, not on this channel.
You don't have to worry about us. As long as you're speaking truth, you don't have to worry about, oh crap, what did I say then? What did I say now? If you're speaking the truth, it doesn't matter.
Right.
You always speak the truth. Then it doesn't matter what you say. It'll eventually get out. I think he did really well on his first interview. I thought he did great.
The other kids, are they on board with all this stuff? Did it shake them up for a little while after all this happened? Because I mean, the mom got super, super upset. She turned on the waterworks as soon as the squad car pulled up and dropped her glasses down and started stomping around. And how did it affect the other kids? Were they kind of tossed about it for a little while, or were they cool with it from?
Well, from the time I dropped them off to the time I picked them back up for my 10 days of my first half of summer vacation, I don't know what was said because I wasn't there, but I took my kids to the mountains for vacation, and we talked about it, and I certainly showed them the video because I don't shelter my kids from very much. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to show them.
And how young is your youngest?
She just turned 8 yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday to her.
And I don't blatantly, show them pornography or anything like that. That'd be silly, and it's just not appropriate. But I don't shelter them from much. So yeah, they did see the video, and Parker asked him while we were in the mountains, "So how's Mom been?" And it was just an overwhelming, almost a deafening silence of, "Man, Mom's been really nice." And I could not have heard more beautiful words that I could think of. That was the most beautiful words I've ever heard come out of their mouths in a long time. Mom's been really nice. Because ultimately, that is the goal. Peaceful parenting, raising human beings, respecting who they are, that in the fact that they own themselves, and just I don't control my kids. I guide them.
There you go.
I simply guide them. That's all I do, and I think that's all parents should do is simply guide. As a parent, I think we should be involved with them so much that we see the small incremental changes as they're growing up. Whenever they're able to make certain decisions on their own, just back off from them, and simply guide them. If they start to make a mistake, or even if they do make a mistake, sit down and talk to them about it. Go over the pros and cons of what could have happened if they'd have made a different choice, or a better choice, or even a worse choice. So,
and let them know that they're not the first one to make that mistake, and they're not going to be the last one to make that mistake. We've all done it. We've all been there. My dad used to tell me that all the time when I was growing up. Son, don't ever try to pull anything over on me, because I've either done it or tried it before.
Yeah, well, and there's a lot of truth to that. I pray to God that my kids, and I tell them this all the time, kids, just because Nana and Shannon got married at a real young age and started having kids, me, and just because I followed in their footsteps and I got married at a really young age and started having kids, y'all, does not mean that y'all have to do the same thing. Go get married right out of high school and start making baby. You don't have to do it that way. If you want to, that's fine. Just know it's hard, but life is hard. But choose your own way. If you don't ever want to get married, if you don't want to have kids, that's fine too. There's nothing wrong with that either. If you want to have kids, I would suggest, trust me, like we're both talking about, trust me, it's really hard to do it this way. I simply hope that my kids are able to learn from my really, really hard mistakes in order to be able to live life in a more full manner, discover things that may not have been discovered before, and help others without having to go through this. Because if you're bogged down like I am with the problems that I'm having, I'm not able to go out and do things and discover things or enjoy things that I would otherwise normally be able to. And if I can teach them that, then maybe they can help advance humanity to move past this statism known as the United States government, which is what we live under today.
Amen to that. And that goes, you can't hide things from your kids if you want them to learn. If you want them to learn from your mistakes, then you've got to be open with everything you do. All the mistakes that you make, you got to be right up front with them and let them know, this is what I did, this is what happened, these are the repercussions. Mm-hmm. Choices. It's all about choices, kids. It's all about choices. You got to make the right one and go in the right direction. And you'll know, your heart will tell you what's the next right thing to do.
Right. And, I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the criticisms I get whenever I tell people I don't discipline my children, I just simply guide them, I don't control them, is, well, what if your kids start smoking cigarettes? Or what if your kids start stealing? What if your kids, those are all just ways of detracting from the issues at hand. Anybody who knows my kids personally will attest or could attest that my kids are some of the most well-behaved, most respectful, intelligent people they've ever run into in their life. They're wonderful kids. They are they're just they're intrinsically curious. They're always asking questions.
That's naturally that's a kid's nature.
Right. And I don't want to, unless you want to, we can. I don't really want to get off into public schools and forcing this crap down their
preaching
throats.
To the choir there, brother. we all hate public school.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm in some comfortable territory then. I don't have to cram that crap down their throats. The internet is a beautiful tool. It enables people to
Do you homeschool? That's a good question. I didn't think about asking you. Do you homeschool?
I'm about to.
Are you?
I've never had that opportunity until about 3-4 weeks ago. But unless Parker changes his mind, I gave him this choice. I told him he can go back to the public school that he's currently enrolled at. He'll be a ninth grader next year. if he chooses to. But I've also introduced him to homeschooling and even unschooling. And honestly, I'm still learning about the unschooling. If anybody's curious about unschooling, Dana Martin does a wonderful presentation. She's written books about it, about unschooling and how it works. It's the next step. If you go from public school to homeschool, unschooling is even the next level after that. And people say, well, if you let them have that choice, they'll just be stupid and they'll never learn anything. And my argument is, really? So you're saying that kids are just so stupid, unless it's forced down their throats, they're not going to learn it? Because I beg to differ.
Curiosity.
Yes, my kids are curious about everything. We do projects all the time.
And that's all you got to answer the question with, Dad, why is that? Read a book and find out. Dad, why is that? Read a book and find out.
Or I tell them, I'll tell you what I know, and if that's not a good enough answer, we'll find it together. We'll look up, we'll go get books.
We got the world right in there on that machine in there called a laptop.
Yeah, and that's how we do it. I mean, we just got through building, added on a new room for, and I built it from scratch, 100% all by myself. The flooring, the walls, the electrical, the lights, the paint, trim, everything. And as I would get them on visitations, the first thing they wanted to do is say, Daddy, how does this cool tool work? How does this one work? And I said, I'm glad you asked that. Let me show you. Man, they are some caulk gunning, hammering, painting, sawing little dudes. They just love to learn this stuff. They think it's so awesome.
The best way to learn is hands-on, too. I've always thought that. I could not stand sitting at a desk in a school for hours and hours and hours and listening to some adult go, yap, 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 yap. I wanted to be out doing something. That's how you learn, is by doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. And it's, again, it's not like I said, kids, it's room building time. And if you don't get your caulking done, I'm going to take away your Nintendo. I'm going to ground you from your iPhone. I'm going to spank you. 3 licks for this and 5 arbitrary licks for that. Bullshit. Spanking is for pussies. And you can quote me on that. Yep. That's just crap. That does not create a peaceful society. That does not create the next generation of loving individuals who are willing to mutually work with others in order to benefit themselves and their families. That is not the route to go. That is going to get you modern football. That's going to get you modern military. That's going to get you modern people's opinion that we have to have government to make sure that we are taking care of this authoritarian threat of violence, and yet you use the propaganda machine known as the media, the mainstream media, to say it's for your own good. They're going to protect you.
Shit.
Yeah, I don't buy into it.
The only thing that they protect is gold and oil.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Rights.
Oh, you want to get into mineral rights? You do realize I do live in the oil-producing capital and technology center of the world in Midland, Odessa, Texas.
Yeah, I used to live down in the Piney Woods.
Okay, I'm not sure where Piney Woods is, but
I lived just north of Houston in Montgomery, Texas, for quite a little while.
I was going to say, you don't sound like you're from Chicago. You may live
No, I'm not from Chicago by any stretch of the. I drove through there quite a few times when I was driving a truck before I got into doing all this stuff, but no.
Well, there's people say that unless you want, I don't really want to. The oil control around here is horrendous. There's no such thing, at least in Texas, as private property. Because the oil companies, I like to lovingly refer to them as the gas holes. I used to do a lot of activism against them, and they all know who I am, very much so. And I've since kind of backed off. We have a mutual agreement. I gave them a black eye, they gave me a black eye. We just kind of go about our separate ways. But there's no such thing as private property in Texas. You will pay your income tax, your property tax, and you do not own your parcel of land unless you've gone through the government and bought 1,500 feet.
Up until 1950, it wasn't that way, though. You know that, right, Caleb?
I've heard it was 50, and then I've also heard that some of the mineral laws were enacted back in the late 19th century because of mining for coal or pick your mineral before the big crude oil was discovered.
Well, yeah, I'm talking about property tax in general. And nobody in this country paid property tax until 1950, and that's just because the jackasses couldn't pay for World War II.
Right.
So
okay. Well, at the same time, nobody paid income tax before 1913 with the passage of the 16th Amendment. So yeah, I mean, I'm totally down. I'm down with you. I'm right there with you.
Yeah. That's kind of getting off on a tangent, though, man. We can.
Yeah, I know.
I want to get back. I want to talk about
oil, and I've simply done a lot of activism on the oil side. But if you want to we can get back to Parker and the video, or
well, I want to talk about. I mean, the video is awesome. The video speaks for itself. The people can go watch it. I dropped it in the chat room a couple times. I'll do it a couple more times before the show. We got about 20 minutes left in the show, or in this hour. I'll drop it a couple more times, but I want to get back to your method of parenting. I think that a lot more people in this country need to understand your method of parenting. I want to talk about, or I want to ask you, do you allow Parker to have or any of your kids actually, to have an iPhone, to be on the Xbox all the time, to watch TV all the time, to blah, blah. I mean, because I gave away my TV. I didn't give it away, but I traded it for a pound of silver, and I've got an iPhone and stuff, and I'm on Facebook and I'm on Twitter, but I'm on all that for the show. Before the show, I was not on any of it. I dropped it all for a couple of years, actually. I was completely off the web, except for surfing around and checking news out and stuff. But do you allow your kids to do all that electronic crap?
Yeah, absolutely, if they choose to. And the reason for saying that...
about the whole programming thing, right, and the flicker rate and all that?
No, I'm not. Flicker what?
Oh, flicker rate and TV. Oh my God, we got to school this gentleman. People start putting some links in the room.
Oh, okay. As far as
programming on television, the commercials, the audio tracks, and
right. Personally, I've not watched TV since about roughly June of last year. I don't even have it hooked. I mean, I do have a television hooked up, but it's simply if I want to watch, a John Wayne or a Dexter or a True Blood or something. I don't watch TV. I haven't in well over a year. Even before then, it was there as hooked up for the kids and my wife at the time, but I didn't watch it. I just don't like it because I think it's just programming crap. But as far as iPhones, had I not had an iPhone, then I wouldn't have been able to record the video that I recorded. I use my iPhone as a high definition audio visual recorder all the time. I record lots of stuff with it, and that was one thing I was never granted by my ex-wife. Is whenever my kids were not with me, we didn't talk. We weren't allowed to talk. We weren't allowed to text. We weren't allowed to do nothing. And that was one of the first things I bought him when he came over here. He said, "Dude, this is the 21st century. This is what people do. They have phones. They communicate via text, phone, video. That's just the way of communication. Protect yourself. Know how to use the camera. Know how to call me or anybody, your friends, or my family, anybody, if you need to. And on top of that, feel free, Parker, to call and or text your mother anytime you want. You don't have to ask me. You don't have to tell me you're doing it. You certainly don't have to tell me what your conversations are. If you want to talk to your mom, here is your tool. You can text her or call her or video. What do they call it? What's the video talking? Whatever it's called. Kind of like Skype
FaceTime or whatever.
Yeah, FaceTime. You can FaceTime whatever you want to do. That's your choice. She's your mom. You've got that freedom to do it anytime you want. And that was, she texted me a few days later to let Parker know about I don't want to give away that information, but about a significant personal family incident that happened, and asked me if I would tell him. I said, well, you can just tell him yourself. Here's his number. You can call him or text him. And I gave her the number right off the bat. I was never granted that. Ever, ever, ever. I would go 30 days at a time and have no idea if my kids are even alive. I just wasn't allowed. If I called, they were always
your
busy.
visitation was only every 30 days?
Well, no, it's kind of a long story. Originally, it was the typical first, third, and fifth weekends plus Thursdays and a month in the summer, blah, blah, blah. After I sued for full custody, I owed her, because of my original divorce decree, almost $250,000 in alimony, among other things.
Holy yow! God damn!
Yeah, $2,625 a month in alimony for 12 months, plus another $2,500 a month in child support. And when Barack Obama took office, the oil field went down. I'm not contributing or complimenting him about anything, but anyway, in 2009, when I was sued, my business went to crap. I simply couldn't afford it. I was sued for full custody. We wound up in a negotiating in mediation, and in order to get rid of that
arbitration.
No, the albatross. Get rid of the albatross over my neck. I had, in order to get rid of that almost $250,000 alimony, I simply gave up some time with my kids, and it wound up being the second and fourth weeks. No Thursday visit instead of a month of summer vacation. It was 2 weeks. And it was stated in there as second and fourth year round, which was actually a plus because that gave me some more time. However, in lawyer speak, second and fourth weekends year round doesn't mean shit. It means second and fourth weekends year round, except for birthdays, except for holidays, except for even freaking Father's Day, except for pick your holiday. And so every now and then there's one of those, or except for spring break. So like in March sucked. We've hated March since 2009 because I get them once in March, and then then whatever these BS rules or laws come into effect due to the so-called agreement, I'd have to go 30 days without seeing them. Instead of every 2 weeks, it was every 4 weeks, and it sucked. I'm not allowed to call them. They're not allowed to call me or text me at all, and we hated it.
Why? I don't get that, man. I don't get that.
So, I don't either. But to get back to your point, or your original question, to allow them to have electronics and all this, yeah, if that's what they're interested in, I encourage it, and I'll get down and play with them to the best. I really suck at some of these things, but they're really good at some of it, especially the little ones. The little two, not London, she doesn't get into it, but the boys. My son Hayden, he's really, really good at some of these, and he tells me stories about them and the things he's able to accomplish and do, and his strategies and his tactics, and I encourage him. I encourage him to expand his mind, and if we go out and do something in the garden or do something, whatever, I invite him to come. If he wants to come, great. If not, he can do what he wants to. I'm just not going to be that authoritarian that says, that just jumps down their throats and gets onto them because they decide to live their lives and explore life and experience this life in a way that I don't choose to. If that's the way they want to do it, great. They're not harming me. They're not harming themselves. They're not harming their kids, their siblings. And we've always got something to talk about at the end of the day. Because eventually he does come out and says, I said, would you get done? Yeah, I've got to this level, blah, blah, blah. And then we get down and we get our hands dirty and he's cool with it. So, I mean, who am I to impose my opinion on what's interesting or what's life-fulfilling to someone like him?
Exactly, man. You're just, like you said at the beginning of the show, you're just there to guide. You're there to guide your children, raise them the best you can, teach them right from wrong, teach them about doing the next right thing.
Yeah, and be there for them when they decide that they've had enough of being owned by somebody, just need a little help.
Right. We're down about the last 10 minutes of the show. If anybody wants to call in with a question or something, or not the last 10 minutes of the show, but last 10 minutes of this hour, if anybody wants to call in, 718-717-8296. I don't know if you want to stay for the next hour or not, if you want to get back to your family stuff. I'm pretty sure.
Now let's do it. I am going to have to take a little pee break at the end of the hour.
Yeah. I'm going to throw a song on here for, right at the top of the hour, just for, give everybody a little go run around, do their thing. So, if you're going to stay for the next hour, that's awesome.
Yeah, sure thing.
Okay. So,
I'm enjoying this.
718-717-8296. If anybody wants to ask Caleb Leverett some questions, talk to you about, that's what I wanted you to come on the show for, was to get your parenting advice out to people. I think that is super, super important. I can't stress that enough. I see so many shitty parents, parents that just don't care. They plop their kid down in front of a TV the whole time that they're home because they don't want to be bothered by them. The kid's more of an accessory, sometimes they get in the way of their social life, and it's just, what the hell do you have a kid for then? That's, that stuff irks me, man. It really does.
Yeah, it bugs me too, and that's not what I do. I mean, if they, like I said, if they choose to get involved with something, TV or a game or whatever it is they're doing, and I want to do something else, I'm fine with it. But we coexist, and it's a short life. There's no sense in making it miserable and authoritarian and fighting all the time, arguing what's interesting, what's not. Because I'm sure some of the things that I do just don't interest them that much. They think it's cool. Dad's on the radio. Dad has some show. Dad does this. Dad's an activist. Dad travels all over the country. They think it's cool, but Parker, he did his interview, and he's listened to some of my interviews, but it's just not his thing to just want to sit down and do it all the time, which is all the more reason. I said, dude, stay out there, slaughter the chickens, ride your horses, build the fence posts, or whatever it is you're doing with Seamus. Seamus is what he calls his granddad, my dad. If that's what you want to do, just have at it, man. And don't worry about it. Well, is he going to be mad? I said, well,
no.
I don't think he will, but if he is, I'm sure he'll get over it.
No, I'm not mad at you, Parker.
Well, I don't know if you record these or have archives or make
the archives are actually on the left-hand side of this chat page that I sent you. All of my archives are there, all the way back to the day I started the show. I think Jules has them all put up there. And if you want me to send you a copy of this show, I'm recording it on my digital recorder too, so I can email you a copy of it if you want.
Yeah, that'd be great. I tend to I try to make YouTube videos out of all any interview I do, and I don't get to all of them, but I try to do as many as I can. But and I was we brought up something else about people as far as. Well, maybe you didn't ask the direct question, but you alluded to it earlier. People who want to mimic what we've done, and advice to that. And if you're, all I can say is, if you're a shitty parent and you're just out to get rid of your child support payment, or if you're a shitty parent and you're just trying to increase your child support payment, then you will fail. You will not succeed at taking this method of circumventing the system. You won't. If that's your only motivation is money, then you're no better than the cocksuckers who make the laws, known as politicians, that we all have to abide by, which is merely the opinions of some really powerful people with really big guns. You've got to be an involved parent. You've got to show them that you love them. You've got to shut down what you're doing and just say, you know what? I don't care what I was doing. You are young. You are learning right now. You want attention from me, and I'm going to give it to you. And like I said, I suck at everything. I'm just good at my career, and I'm good at being a dad. And I'm not saying I'm all that, because I'm really not. I don't have many talents, but I do what few talents I have. I'm a damn good dad, and I'm damn good at what I do for a living. But anyway, for what it's worth, kids, don't try this at home. Unless you're really good at being a dad.
All right, man. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and throw a song on now. I'm going to let everybody take a little breaky break. Go do your thing. If you got to pee, go run to the fridge, whatever you got to do. It's going to be about, let's see, what am I going to play? Let's go for some... About 6.5 minutes, everybody. You got 6.5 minutes to be back at the mic. And we're back for the second hour of Boiler Room Radio. It's Hump Day here on UCY.TV. Talking with Caleb Leverett. Him and his son Parker had an outstanding video they put on YouTube a few weeks ago.
It's 2 weeks tomorrow.
2 weeks tomorrow. So tell me, how much flack have you gotten over it from trolls and the such out there in the YouTube sphere?
Compared to the compliments and the people on our side, next to nothing. Right now, there's, like I said, there's a little over 3,000 comments, and there's, I want to say, 2,500, 2,600 thumbs up versus a whopping 49 or 50 thumbs down. Now, there's always going to be the naysayers, and I understand that, but by and large, the overwhelming majority of comments are in wholehearted support of Parker and myself.
And I'm guessing that this got around Parker's school. What's the comments been like from his classmates and such?
Well, he was actually he was done with school. The last day of school was after when I picked him up. That was the day. That evening was when we posted it. So, I mean, I'm sure he's talked to his buddies that he hangs out with. I mean, I know some of them know about it. But as far as him, walking into school the next day, I mean, school was out, so
that's good.
It hadn't happened.
So I'm guessing that this whole thing isn't looming over him like a huge,
oh hell
shadow.
No!
Okay.
Contrary to what a lot of the naysayers, the trolls would like you to believe, if you actually believe their overwhelming number of comments some of them are putting on, no. In fact, Parker, and I've made this very clear on other interviews, and I want to make it very clear on your show as well. Parker was the one who insisted he wanted me to put it on the day, to post it the day it happened. And for strategic purposes and courtesy purposes, I said, dude, let's hold off just a little bit. Maybe we can get this done. Maybe we don't have to put up any slag. Maybe all will be well. And as I talked about earlier, it didn't happen that way. So we used it as leverage. But no, Parker's the one that wanted it. That wanted it. He's had his friends over here, literally over here, sat down at my computer, and they all put on their headphones. I had to put the splitters so we had enough headphones, everybody, and they watched it together. I mean, he wanted this. I mean, he even said,
did you email your ex a copy like she requested?
That's what YouTube is for.
That's what I figured was going to be said. That's what I thought you were going to say in the video, too. I was like, here it comes. You can find it on YouTube in about 15 minutes.
I'll make you famous.
Yeah, no shit.
No, I didn't send her a copy. And like I said in the video,
I'm glad that she's been really cool about this whole thing, too, because, from the video.
Well, now, I will say this. She did contact me a couple, 3 days later afterwards once it started going viral and asked me to take it down because she was actually getting some really nasty comments. I mean, almost like death threats from some people. And I do not condone that at all. And hence the reason for...
No, but, I got to say something, man. I'm just going to play devil's advocate for just a minute.
Okay.
But maybe that's like a wake-up call for her to chill the... F out, you know what I mean? And maybe that cleaned her clock a little bit, so to speak, because since then you've said that the kids have said that she has been super cool.
According to my kids, that's what that was their words.
Maybe that did the trick.
Well, right, but at the same time, if any of your listeners or yourself, y'all want to go, if you do read the description, I think it's note number 1. I made that on purpose you know how trolls are. Sometimes, for the most part, I mean, I've been doing this a long time. I understand internet trolls at least more than most people. And if they see something like that, he's wanting us to back off. Okay, they listen. There's always these weirdos out there. They're going to do whatever they want to do, and I have no control of that. But I want to make that very, very clear. I do not condone or support or encourage anybody to invoke any kind of violence against anybody in that video whatsoever.
No.
None.
Speaking of weirdos, though, 718-717-8296, if anybody wants to call in. I'm talking to Caleb Leverett about the famous Parker Stands Up for His Rights video. And again, I want to throw some kudos out to the cops. Those guys were super, super cool and blew me away, actually. I figured when the squad car showed up, everything was getting ready to go to shit. But
hence the reason I had the video camera out to make sure.
Yeah, and he said straight to your face, he's like, I got my camera going. You're fully in your rights to videotape everything that's happening here, and I condone it.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if they maybe had a heads up about who I am. I'm not a member, but I'm a strong supporter of the Peaceful Streets Project. A friend of mine named Antonio Villa out of Austin, Texas.
Yep, I know.
Oh, okay. Are you familiar with him? He started the Peaceful Streets Project back in, due to an occurrence that had happened on New Year's Day.
Former Ranger.
2012. That's right. Well, Army Ranger qualified anyway. He's a good friend of mine, and I've actually gone down and done some cop watching with him and watched him in action. So I'm kind of wondering if maybe these officers possibly had a heads up. I have no way of proving. I'm just wondering. I have no idea if they did or not. But I even carry a Peaceful Streets Project sticker on my vehicle, my truck, that I was actually in and that you see in the video. So maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I really don't know. But
as soon as he took your license and talked into his radio, within about 30 seconds, he knew exactly who you were. I guarantee.
Oh yeah. It didn't take him long. And like I said, I gave him my ID. I mean, I think that's some stuff.
I never saw him give it back to you in the video. Did he give it back to you?
Yeah, he did.
Okay. I never saw that. I never saw that transpire. I was watching for it.
Well, he had it clipped to his little clip right there on his breastplate and his chest.
Yep.
But you hear us towards the end. I even asked him. I had to double check it. I always make sure if I give something out that I get it back. And he even says, yeah, and then I confirmed he did.
So no legal repercussions from this whatsoever so far. I'm blown away at that because your ex-wife, in that, I mean, I've got to be honest, man. I got to be honest. She was acting like she was out of her mind. And then threatening to sue the kid. You know, come on, man. That's just being mean. Charges. That's just being mean.
Well, so far, like I said, we've had some correspondence via text, and I'm not trying to, without quoting it, I don't have a text in front of me. It's something to the effect that she does not have any plans on having any kind of recourse about this at all. And that being said, I'm currently waiting on my lawyer to get back with me in order to go see a judge. Because I tried to do it myself, and apparently the gatekeepers made it the gatekeepers made it very clear you don't get to see the judge unless you hire somebody, as a lawyer, to get to go see the judge.
Be your mouthpiece, right?
Yeah. So I'm waiting on my lawyer to get back. I'm not going for blood. I don't want anything. All I want is full custody, bar none, of my son. And that's it.
And you still don't have that, right, legally?
Legally, no. And that's why this is such a game changer. My son has been living with me for about a month now, completely outside of the orders.
Well, yeah, but you got everything. I mean, you got a police report. Everything's documented. What happens documented. The video's online. You know, millions of people have probably seen it. You know, I mean, you're as far as I can tell. I mean, I know the law is crooked as hell right now, but as far as I can tell, they got no bounce on you. You know, she's got no legal recourse because he is 14 years old, and at 12, I think they can make their decision as to which parent they want to go live with.
Yeah, I think you're right. In Texas, I'm pretty sure it is 12. I can't quote you the exact statute or law or whatever it is, but I've always been told, or what people tell me, it is 12, and he's 14. And even if the kid was 8, even if the child, the person, the human being that you saw in the video was 8 years old, if he was talking the way he's talked and obviously knew what he's talking about. Yeah,
he was coherent. He was fully coherent. He was making very salient points and was well within his right to speak his mind.
Yes. Yeah, the freedom of speech, believe it or not, still kind of exists in the United Police States of America.
And at 14 years old, for his mom...
It even applies to 14-year-olds.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm just saying it even applies to 14-year-olds.
Well, and at 14, for his mom to not recognize any of that, just that floored me. You know, when she said, you're still a child, you don't get to make those decisions, blah, blah, blah. I was like, what? What?
Looks like she's wrong. Looks like he does get to make his own decisions. And again, I relate that to modern technology. Had I not had a camera, had there not been such thing as YouTube, had there not been any such thing as these modern advances in technology, I don't think what happened a month ago would have happened. He would have been either yanked out by her or the stepdad or the cops. And there's no way it'd be. Yeah, it'd have been my word against, or mine and his word against theirs.
The stepdad looked like, you know, he was getting ready to get all mouthy and shit until you turned the camera on. Because then the first thing that came out of his mouth was, "What's the camera for, man?"
I noticed that.
So, and then he went to the "I'm a tough guy" pose. Standing there with his arms crossed, leaning, kind of looking at you, scowling over the top of his glasses. I was like, "Wow, geez, this could be Hollywood."
Well, it's funny you mentioned Hollywood. I'm very humbled and blown away by the amount of people who are saying things like, they call it my film. Like I'm Steven Spielberg or something. They said, how did you turn the camera and catch the conversation with Parker and his mom and stepdad, and while turning the other direction and talking to the cop? And like,
yeah, you did a good job. You really did a good job, especially with an iPhone.
Well, I don't know. That's nothing special. I mean, I guess I've recorded. I'm one of those dorky dads. I love recording my kids. I'll pull it out. I'll whip that thing out and just record anything. Catching grasshoppers. I think it's hilarious. I think it's going to be funny. 20 years from now, London says, "Hey, Dad, what's this video about?" "Oh, 28-year-old daughter of mine. Let me show you. When you were 8 years old, you were catching lizards and grasshoppers. I just thought it was so damn cute. I just whipped out the iPhone." I've got hours, maybe possibly even thousands of hours of just video of my kids. I just think it's hilarious.
Yeah, my mom and dad used to do that too when we were young with the old 8mm.
Mm-hmm.
Then in the holidays, man, out came the projector and cleared some shit out of the way so that the wall had a nice big blank spot on it, and everybody sat around and got embarrassed for an hour or two.
Yeah, exactly.
Loved it, man.
I mean, even in my divorce in 2007, I had literally 3 or 4 big shoe boxes. They didn't have drives back then. They
up
had
in the top of the closet, man. You whip them out, and they're all dusty and shit. And
it wasn't VHS, but it was a little bit smaller tape. I had 3 or 4 big shoe boxes, though, just hundreds of hours, from watching them be born to cutting the umbilical cords to their first birthday parties. And I didn't get any of them before, so I lost it all. I hope she has it for history's sake, but I'd give anything if I had it. I just don't. But as far as getting back to what I was saying about, how the Hollywood people call it my film, I guess I've held that camera for so long, I just kind of know where to point it.
were you kind of nervous when she started reaching through the glass? I was nervous. I thought that either the window was going to get broke or he was going to roll the window up on her arm and cut her real bad, or I was getting nervous right then.
To be quite honest with you, I mean, there's always a little bit of tension whenever you are in a big confrontation. It's kind of like getting a fight in high school or whenever. The adrenaline starts rushing through. You've got to learn how to control the adrenaline, still keep your cool. I mean, neither Parker nor I knew what to expect from this. We had no earthly idea. I even told him, I prepared him, said, dude, hopefully this will go our way, but there's a very good possibility that it's not going to go our way. But if you decide to go through with this, I'll be there for you. And just know that I will keep the camera. And if there is violence that is ensued, just know that I will take care of it. I'll publish it. I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people in the liberty movement and the activist movement. I've got really good connections. I'll do everything in my power to get it exposed to what happened. And he took that as, okay, Dad, I'll trust you. There is a possibility I'm going to be yanked out anyways, and the doors are going to close, and nobody's going to be seeing me, and there's no telling what's going to happen. But he was willing to go through with that, and that is just bravery in my book beyond belief, because neither one of us knew what to expect.
That brings me to another point, man. I wanted to touch on it earlier, and I kind of smoked by it, but you got back around to it. If it would have gone the other way, if it would have gone the other way, would you have gotten out of the vehicle and got a little more aggressive to keep him? Because, I mean, when you turned to the cop and you said, I'm not going to force my son to get out of this car, if that's not what he wants to do, then I'm not going to force him to. So that kind of tells me that you're willing to go the extra mile. And even though you've got the non-aggression principle, are you willing to get aggressive to protect your children?
No. Well, and first of all, there's all the difference in the world between aggressiveness and violence. Violence is violence.
True.
aggression is the initiation of violence. But to answer your question, what I've got out of the car, no, I would not. Because the modern American police force knows exactly how to handle violent people.
Well,
They're trained to handle violent people no matter how many cameras are rolling, anything. They know how to handle violence. What they do not know, or most of them do not know how to handle, is peaceful resistance. And it's the peaceful, resistant people, history has shown this time and time again, that actually accomplish things. Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., the list goes on and on.
Well, I'm not necessarily saying... Yeah, I wasn't necessarily meaning that you were, would you have gotten out and started a fight? I mean, would you have gotten out of the vehicle and started getting a little louder vocally, expressing your opinion?
I would stay on public property. I would keep my camera rolling. I would voice my opinion. I would drop my F-bombs if necessary. I would have done that. But as far as getting violent, whether, even if someone else initiated the force, there's no way I could have, because if I would have shown any kind of aggression,
it'd have been a detrimental situation for you to get control, get custody.
Yeah. Any positive things that I had done would have all been wiped out.
Yep.
All been wiped out, completely 100%.
I'm right with you, buddy. I'm just trying to throw the questions out there.
I'm saying that I'm giving advice to other people because, believe me, it wasn't easy sitting there for an hour, listening to insult and after insult after insult, and watching my own son being
tormented,
yanked out bald-headed, metaphorically speaking. That was a filter she used. It was not easy watching him do this, but this was his battle. This was between him and his mom. I stayed out of it as much as I can. I wasn't going to interfere, other than supporting him by being there for him and videoing it. But if anyone ever tries this, I highly encourage you. Your best bet is to keep the camera rolling. I don't care how Billy Badass you are, how awesome ninja Chuck Norris you think you are, and could take out the whole thing and walk away scathe-free. You won't. You will lose. If you start violence, if you show any kind of aggression, regardless of what they're doing, you will lose.
Well, you're going to lose in the eyes of your kids.
Right, exactly. You'll lose in the eyes of your kids too. But your camera is your biggest defense. The cameras do not lie. They expose lies. They only tell truth. And if there's anybody who has questions about it, you mentioned earlier about me filming Officer Brandon Spinks motioning me away. There is a reason I held off so long and didn't just drive off. I wanted to see that, and I wanted to video that. I wanted proof where it doesn't. There's no way it says he kidnapped his kids or he stole whatever. There's a reason I filmed that. I was waiting for the cue from the authorities, whether I approve of their justification of being there or not. They're there, and they do have bigger guns than I do. They have more power than I do, and there's not a damn thing I can do about it except video camera. And even the United States Supreme Court has ruled, even that statist-ass entity of the Constitution has ruled, it is not against the law to videotape in public.
I wish you'd have hung around for another half hour, because I wanted to see her go to jail. I thought she was going to start going off on those cops. You let him take my kid, and wound up getting locked up. Man, I wish you'd have hung around for a little bit, but that's me neither here nor there.
Well, everybody always wishes they had a different ending and sequels, but it is what it is, and I'm just so thankful it ended the way it did, and not for my sake, but for my son's sake. Because, like I said, you cannot imagine the joy that I have got watching my son experience all the things that he's experienced in the last month, especially being out the farm, which is his favorite place to be, playing with his horses, building hitching posts, sweeping the shop, cleaning up things, go rabbit hunting, collecting the eggs from the chickens, slaughtering chickens, feeding the animals, taking care of the farm, all the things that he's just doing, working on the farm, not being forced to, and watching him just live his dream. It is utterly, it'll make a grown man cry.
That's awesome to hear, man. That kind of love needs to be spread around a lot more than it is. That's for sure. And I'm fully on board that she's being cool about this, but I've got to tell you this. Just because I'm kind of a skeptic sometimes, I think it's going to go hunky-dory until the next child says, yeah, I think I want to go live with Dad too. Then I think it's going to go shitstorm.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, the next one in line turns 12 years old next week. And it's a week after June 28th. Hayden turns 12 next week.
And have they voiced their opinion to you?
Well, of course. And I've also told them at the same time, dude, it doesn't matter to me. If you're happy over there, if you don't want to rock the boat, you're not going to hurt my feelings. Just be happy where you are. If any of you other three, if you want to, I assure you, I will give you all the attention, all the effort that I gave your older brother Parker, and I'll do my best. But if you choose to not do that and you just want to just ride it out, or maybe you're happy there, great. I hope you are. If that's what you want to do, great. You just know that you're more than welcome to visit here or live here. And if I ever come to pick you up and you don't want to come, that's okay too. Now, I will say this. In my 5-6 years of picking my kids up, I think I've missed 2 pickups my entire life, and it was only this last year after my second wife left me. I made some plans and wasn't able to work things out as far as swapping. Other than that, don't be late to pick up. I've never been late, other than one time I was 14 minutes late and I got the cops called on me, but I won't go into that. But I'm putting too many things in here at once.
So you're single again? Your second wife, you've got a second divorce?
I am permanently, the way I describe myself, I'm twice divorced, permanently single father of 4 kids. I have no interest in ever getting married again because it's too much. It's too hard. My daughter was not even 2 years old when my second wife came into the picture, and then she abruptly just up and left. But I don't really want to make this show about her because she and we're fine. We really are. We're still somewhat friends, and I wish our divorce was textbook perfect. All the emotion aside, it was just textbook perfect. She was cool about things. I was cool about things. There was nothing like the first. But at the same time, with the heartache involved, there's no way I would ever do that again, at least while my kids are young and malleable.
How old are you, by the way?
I turned 36 in April. I kind of started here.
In 14 years, you put that much wisdom into that child. I don't know how you did it. He's evidently got some good gene pool going because the way he remained calm, I've never seen a kid act like that. Usually they start throwing tantrums and start flailing around, and if it had been any kid that I know, it'd probably been out in the middle of the yard rolling around, acting like an idiot.
Well, again, that gets back to anybody that I encourage people. I hope this happens more often. And the reason I'm saying that I want it to happen more often, I will. There's a caveat. If you think you're going to go out and do the same thing and act like you just said and throw fits and temper tantrums and be Billy Badass and prove your point and prove how masculine you are, how grown up you are, even if you're the parent, how Billy Badass you are.
Shit, I know 60-year-olds don't act like that.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly.
Don't have that much composure.
You will lose. You will lose if you do it that way. This takes preparation. There's a reason my son stays calm, because I'm a calm person. I'm a non-violent person. I mean, don't get me wrong. If we're traveling around and someone tries to initiate force against any of my kids, I will use force. I will use even deadly force. I will kill your ass dead if necessary if you try to harm my kids. At the same time, a confrontation, a fight is the last thing I want. I avoid confrontations if at all possible, but you're not going to hurt my kids. You're not going to steal my property. You're not going to threaten my kids and me just take it lightly. That's not going to happen. However, at the same time, mind your own business, and I assure you, you will have no problems out of me. I don't care what you do, what you put into your body, your sexual preference, your race, your creed, your religion. I don't care. Whatever it is you're doing, as long as you're peaceful and not harming me or my children, go back to live your life the way you choose. Just know if you cross that line and try to harm me, and you make it imminent that me or one of my kids or even my friends or family is going to die due to your actions, I will pull out all stops, and if I'm able to, I will kill you if that's what it takes to defend me and mine.
There you go. That's the way everybody ought to live their life, Be cool. Don't be an asshole.
That's right. Yeah. Assholes suck. I don't like assholes. In fact, I'm working on, I've been not threatening. I've been saying I'm going to do this for like 6 months now. I'm trying to get some shirts made up. If I can ever I need a designer to help me. I want to get some t-shirts made up that says, I pick on bullies. And there's an undertone there of, I don't pick fights. I would never harm a peaceful person for any reason, for any amount of money. Man, it just gives me a yard-long hard-on to pick on a bully. I love picking fights with bullies. I hate bullies. I can't stand bullies. Hence the reason I'm not very keen on politicians, regardless if you're a Democrat, Republican, or I would go and say even the Libertarian Party. I can relate more to the Libertarian Party people, but I'm just not a big politician person. Politicians
Politics sucks.
Bullies. They tend to be bullies. They tend to pass bills. They tend to enforce those bills with taxation. I just simply think that taxation is theft. I don't think it's nice to steal from people. And so I pick on bullies. I love picking fights with bullies. It's so fun.
It is, especially when you put them in their place and there's nothing they can do to alter the outcome.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to argue with facts, and I don't like invoking violence against peaceful people. I don't like stealing from people. Whether you're a Christian or not, the golden rule is a fantastic rule.
Yep. Whether
you're atheist, Buddhist, what Christian, doesn't matter. The golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, is just the perfect, that's the epitome of voluntarism.
Yeah, but that got booed at the debate, man. That got booed at the presidential
in North
debate
Carolina.
when Ron Paul said it. I was like, oh my God, this country is over the edge.
I'm glad you brought that up.
You're going to boo Ron Paul for saying, do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Yeah, and he was in the Bible Belt when he did it.
Oh my God, man. That's when I was like, okay, his campaign's done.
Oh, no, he never was in it to win it, I don't think. But
well, no, he was in it to make a point, but still.
It's funny, every time Ron Paul invokes quotes from the Bible or even quotes from Jesus in particular Bible, it always gets in trouble. Whenever, what was that sniper's name? Chris something that died or was killed in firing range. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, Chris Kyle.
Ron Paul simply quoted Jesus. Everyone was saying he's credited with 200, 300, 400 kills or whatever it was. And he simply quoted Jesus, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Every time Ron Paul quotes the Bible, man, this Christian nation just rips him a new asshole.
It's pathetic, man. It makes me want to vomit.
Yeah, but it makes it so fun for people like you and I to get on the air and actually point out the fallacy in their logic.
Well, yeah, but I mean, they can stare it straight in the face and still talk it. You know what I mean? They can. I've never seen politicians are excellent at taking defeat and turning it into a victory. They do it all the time because these people never go away. They never leave Capitol Hill, no matter how many mistakes they make, no matter how many times they get busted breaking the law. They don't ever leave. Kissinger is still there.
Oh, Henry? Are you talking about Henry Kissinger?
Yeah. Some of these senators and congressmen are up in their 80s, and they're still there.
Well, I think one of them died off here, a couple weeks ago?
Well, yeah, and Bird died off. But I mean, come on.
Well,
term limits. I want term limits. We're getting way off topic now, but hey,
that's okay. I mean, I don't want to bore your audience, and maybe they've got other questions, but I mean, I can go on into we can. I guess if you got any more questions that I haven't answered, we can talk about it, or we can go into other things. It doesn't bother me.
No, I mean, we got about not a little less than a half hour left in the show. I was hoping some people would get on the phones, man. 718-717-8296. If you people want to call in and drop a question, if you want to call in and talk to Caleb about something about the non-aggression policy, come on, people. 718-717-8296. Somebody ring my phone. Go ahead. What do you want to talk about?
I was just going to say, if we can keep talking about the video, but just know that I love grilling and making fun of politicians. In my opinion, comedy is the only thing that is going to change the vast majority of the American zombies' minds about why it is they vote. And maybe I'm stepping on your toes or some of your radio listeners' toes. I don't know. But like I said, I'm a volunteer. I'm an anarchist.
We step on a lot of toes around here, brother. Don't worry about it.
I've just simply got no use for politicians at all and voting at all, because as if 230 years has taught us nothing. That government
230 shit, they've been doing this for.
Well, I'm talking about.
Man.
I'm talking about in this particular country.
Look, it only took us 230 years to run it into the ground.
Yeah, and from the day it was signed, the United States federal government has done nothing but grow, and it has grown under the left side and the right side of the aisle. It always grows, and if you really think
there's no difference,
you can vote the bums out, you are sadly mistaken.
They're both controlled by the same interests.
Right. You're not going to vote the bums out. If you keep voting, that keeps them empowered. There's a famous quote by my friend Stefan Molyneux that says, no matter who wins an election, the government always stays in power. And he's exactly right. It doesn't matter who, as long as people are voting and saying, I want this person to make decisions on my behalf. No, I want this person. How about this guy? Oh, this lady, she's just a fine example. She can make policy to keep me safe and pass bills that will save me money on my car insurance by switching to Geico. It doesn't matter who it is. If you keep voting, they like it when you vote. The threat of your vote getting taken away is bullcrap. It's not going to be they want you to vote because they want you to actually think you've got to say so.
Well, if you vote, you give them permission to do what they're doing.
Exactly. Exactly.
I read an article by Charlie Reese last week. It was his final article that he wrote for the paper that he was writing for before he retired. And a couple of lines on it were perfect for this conversation. Have you ever wondered if both Democrats and Republicans are against deficits? Why do we have deficits? Have you ever wondered if all the politicians are against inflation and high taxes? Why do we have inflation and high taxes? I mean, it's perfect. That tells you the left-right paradigm in two sentences. If both of them are so dead set against all this bad crap that's going on in our country, then why the fuck is it still happening?
Exactly. What's the latest? Is immigration? Is that the big deal right now?
Whatever. I mean, come on. There's so much shit going. The NSA probes, the IRS probing into right wing, people that don't like Obama, Benghazi, the Syria conflict, the shit going on in Afghanistan. How many fucking things do we got to have?
Oh yeah. I mean, how long ago was it? Like 2 months ago, the guy from the bad Korea, what's his name? Kim Jong-un.
Yeah,
he was just a huge threat, and we're all going to get nuked. Austin and Detroit and California and Hawaii and Alaska are all going to get nuked.
And 2 days later, something else happened, and it was
something else happens, and the sheep just don't care. They're on to the next scandal.
And now he's back in the headlines wanting to negotiate.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, I saw that like 2-3 days ago. I think that Kim the Younger wants to talk to the people in charge and negotiate some kind of peace treaty. Really? I thought you guys laid down and took a nap 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago.
I think he's just feeling ignored. He's so pissed off at Hillary Clinton.
He
about
does
Benghazi.
what the people tell him to do.
He's so pissed at Hillary Clinton and Benghazi and the NSA stuff that has taken over his thunder. He doesn't know what to do.
Mr.
He's
Vincent
mad.
Easley. Vincent Easley has called my show. Good afternoon, or good evening, Vince. How are you?
Mr. Funk, what's up?
Not much. What do you got to chime in on this conversation we're having?
Hey, I got in just a little past the hour, but man, this guy is great. I don't even know his name, but how'd he do?
Caleb.
Caleb. That's even a cooler name.
Caleb Leverett and his son Parker. I don't know if you got a chance to watch that video I dropped in the room, Vince, but man, you got to go check that video out.
I turned it on, and there was 3 or 4 minutes of waiting for the silence to break. But anyways, I stopped it because I'd rather be listening to your show right now. And so, I debated the, broadcast show, program, and all that. And I was against the word show for so long. But I don't think I'm really against that word anymore because, in a sense, we are showing.
Yeah, we're showing. We're showing our cards.
Right? You said questions a while ago. Anybody call in with questions. And
yeah.
And y'all was talking about whys, which presupposes hows. And it just really brought in, is what come out of my mouth right now, which coming out into my brain was, how long is a Chinaman? It's not a question, but a statement. And I know that has nothing to do with something about y'all talking about it. I thought it was funny.
How long is what?
Did you say a Chinaman?
Yeah, that's his name. How long is a Chinaman?
How long is a Chinaman?
Oh, boy.
I guess I don't get it.
I don't know. I'm not getting it either, Vince. I don't know. I guess you had to be there, right?
Okay, I'll explain it, which ruins the whole thing. That was talking about hows and whys, and then questions. And so I said, how long is a Chinaman? That's his name. How
long? Yeah, I got you now. I got
so
it.
It's not even a question, really.
His name is How Long.
Which the point is we've got all these questions. We the whys and the hows, and sometimes the whos. When it all comes together, sometimes we can't put it all together.
I don't claim to have the answers to anything, man. I've got a bunch of questions, and when I ask myself those questions, when I look inside myself to try to find the answers, I find that I find the answer, and I usually find the right one.
The best answer, at least
for me, anyway. It might not be the best answer for anybody else, but it's the best answer for me, and that's why I'm an info junkie. That's why I became an info junkie, was because I wanted to know almost everything there was to know about everything I was interested in, so that I could take all that information and use what worked for me. I don't throw away the rest of it. I keep it filed away because I might need it later on, or somebody else I know might need that information later on. So I try to hang on to it, but I only use what works for me. And I know that's what Parker did. I know that he knew in the back of his mind exactly how that day was going to go. He said, I am not going to get my ass out of this seat at all. No matter what happens, I'm not going to get out of this seat unless I
sounds like Rosa Parks to me.
Kinda. I mean, he does. I mean, the kid was so cool. I couldn't have been that cool. I couldn't have been that collected. I just couldn't. Once the words started flying, once the hateful words started flying, that's me. That flips my switch, and then I'm on it.
Caleb, you were saying earlier that it being an information age and all, and the best defense we have is to actually record such encounters like you had, and that is so true. I look back in life and so many times that you could have been vindicated.
Yeah, damn! I wished I'd have had a camera then.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And if anybody has a problem with recording, especially when it's a volatile event like that, whether it be you're filming cops or whatever.
Oh, the mom wasn't happy about it. As soon as the cop showed up, that's the first thing to come out of her mouth. Well, he's filming us. The cop was like, yep, so am I.
And I reassured him that she was correct.
Yeah.
Good for you. Hey, I wanted to call in and just say howdy. and try to be funny, which
I'm sorry I didn't get your joke. Maybe it's the audio. I just didn't get it. I apologize.
Hey, if you can't laugh with me, laugh at me, all right?
There you go.
Love and peace, y'all.
Later, Vince. Thanks for calling in, man.
Thanks, Jimbo. Bye.
Bye. Hey, if anybody else wants to call in with a joke of the day, 718-717-8296. We got open phones here on Boiler Room Radio. We got about a little more than 15 minutes left in the show. What else you want to touch on, Caleb? There's got to be...
I was actually having a really good time slamming politicians. At the same time, I will say this. I'm getting just hate mail from hell from my Schmohawk listeners and even a dear friend of mine, co-host on Liberty Movement Radio, because I'm on this show right now. So,
is he listening?
I posted I was going to be on here. I posted your chat link, and he's giving me it's a friendly
inside joke. I got it.
No, maybe not inside joke. We jab at each other. I posted a picture that I found in an old Kid Rock album from 1990. It looks nothing like he does now, and I said, believe it or not, this is Kid Rock from 1990, and does he look a little bit like Trip View? Yeah, so we bust each other's balls all the time, but yeah, that's kind of what we do on our show. Is other than making fun of politicians and speak truth and dabble in history, we bust each other's balls, and we break down the barriers of language that prohibit certain speech, such as a certain word you're not supposed to say because you're the wrong color, or you're the wrong sexual orientation, or you're the wrong nationalism, whatever.
I'm so far past being politically correct, dude. I can't even see the sign no more. I stopped being politically correct.
Yeah, because all that crap does is prevent us from being friends. And Ben Farmer, my co-host, and I, we talk about this all the time. We just want to be friends, and we want to talk about things the way we want to talk about them. We don't want to be ruled and dictated to how we can say things, certain words we can say, the big taboo words that just offend people.
It allows people, when you run a politically correct society, it allows people to be an asshole unchecked. You know what I mean? Usually, back when I was growing up anyway, before all this PC shit came around, I'm 45 years old, so, I've been around for a minute. But back when I was growing up, before all this PC stuff started going around, when somebody was an asshole, people called them on it. Hey, man, stop being an asshole. And they got the point eventually. Now that you got to be PC, you can't say to somebody, stop being an asshole. Otherwise it gets all bent out of shape, and then it starts into so people get to go through life unchecked.
Yeah, I don't know if you know him, but are you familiar with Adam Kokesh?
Oh God, don't get me started on that whack job, man.
he's a friend of mine, and he's got a great T-shirt. Actually, one of them. It says,
being offended is bullshit. I do like that one.
Well, it's being offended is fucking bullshit.
Yeah, fucking bullshit.
Picture of a guy,
and it's got to do with the finger flipping you off.
Yeah, I've actually got, and he's right, and I get it.
That's right. That idea is right. Yeah.
There's a lot of people. I get it. They just don't like him. He is a friend of mine. He's a personal friend of mine. I'm the first to say, some of his shit is just whack. I love busting his balls on his DMT videos. I just tell him, I hate your DMT videos. I turn them off every time I get it. If it ever comes up, I can't run away from it fast enough. But at the same time, he's not harming anybody by doing it. There's no people or animals killed while he's doing it. He can do it all he wants to. I'm going to invoke the Agorist method, and I'll just ignore the shit out of it. I'll go on to something else that's far more.
I got a question for you.
Okay.
Since you're his personal friend.
Well, we're not best of friends.
Well, no,
we're buddies.
I know that. Excuse me.
Oh.
I had to drop out there for a second. Had a frog go down the wrong way.
Oh.
Would you ever vote for that guy?
No, because I don't vote.
Well, I'm just saying. Out of left field, he ran for Congress or something.
He did. Yeah, he ran for Congress in New Mexico.
Right. Would you ever? I mean, knowing what he's done to his brain, knowing what he's done as far as,
if I was a voting person, yeah, I suppose I would, but I'm not a voter, so I wouldn't vote for him, but I wouldn't vote for George Bush or Barack Obama or Nancy Pelosi or Harry Reid or pick the politician. I wouldn't vote for any of them because I don't vote.
I just found it funny that he ran for Congress.
Well, he did, and he's had. I mean, I'm not here to defend Adam. He's a big boy; he can defend himself. But he's had a huge awakening. From the time he got out of Iraq, out of the Marines, and his time in Fallujah, from the time he went and ran for Congress, and then he started the show on RT, and then now he's independent. He's had a big sea change in his philosophy on things, and he's even said himself he'll never run again. But as far as would I vote for him, I suppose if I was a voter, I think he's a pretty upstanding guy. He's full of shit on some things, but I think he's spot on. He's certainly, you can't deny whether you like him or not, the man's got balls of absolute titanium.
I think it's more of an ego myself. I don't think it's balls at all. I think it's an ego. I think he gets off on people laughing at him and paying attention to him, and he wants to be the center of it. I mean, I am not an Adam fan, so I think we're going to go different directions on this one. But
and that's perfectly fine. But I mean, I'm just saying, Adam is my friend, and I say that because I know he's a different kind of guy, and I know he's not. He's a uniter in some certain areas, but on a lot of things, he's a divider. I mean, he just cuts through some crap and he speaks his mind. But he's the way I put it, he's either got the biggest balls in the world or he's a cop. And I'm not sure which one.
I'm tending to lean toward the second way, man. I think that he's a plant. I think he's a plant agent. You can go. I've done some background on the guy. I don't step lightly into stuff when I start talking about.
I understood, and believe me, this is not bothering me. It's really not. I mean, just because he and I are friends, I mean, let's talk about it. I'm more than willing to talk about it because I don't know everything about him, but I follow him quite a bit, and I know quite a bit of his history. But if you want to talk about that, man, that's okay. We got 10 minutes. Let's grill Adam Kokesh. Let's put him in the spotlight and let's see who he is.
You know the background on his dad?
Somewhat, yeah, a little bit, but not entirely.
Okay, well, let me drop this knowledge on you. You know that he embezzled $45 million from people?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he did. He embezzled $45 million during opening all these little fucking companies that he wanted to open. And he's been sued and brought up on charges by the SEC. And as far as I can tell, running.
But at the same time, you say brought up on charges in the SEC, which is another government arm. I mean, Bradley Manning's been brought up on charges from the Department of Defense, and he's not done a goddamn thing wrong other than speak truth. So, just because
the charges were filed by the SEC because of complaints from his clients, so to speak.
Well, and I'll be honest with you, I know his dad was pretty well to do, or I've heard that, but I really don't know much about him at all.
Yeah, well, and as far as I mean, when I ran Adam's background, I don't see any work history whatsoever. When he went into the military, he fucked off in the military. He got some soldiers got pissed at him and they fucking got him out, and then he got brought up on charges because he tried to thief a weapon and take it home with him. And then after that, he's never done.
He admits to that. He brought it home. I mean, that's what got him his dishonorable discharge or something like that.
Yeah, that's a big no-no in the military, and he knew it. But at
the same time, my granddad, who was in World War II, who died on August 29th, 1994, he brought back one, and I've still got the fucking pistol that he smuggled back.
That's World War II. That's a long time ago, and they had different laws back then. There was the law of war back then, and they don't have that anymore.
Well, I know, but still, it's still an arbitrary rule made up by the population at the time.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it wasn't an Iraqi weapon. It was a military-issued weapon that he tried to take.
No, he got it off a dead German.
Off a dead who? No,
German.
I'm not talking about your granddad. I'm talking about Kokesh.
Oh, okay. I don't know where Adam got it.
It was a military-issued weapon that he tried to bring home with him. So, but anyway, that's beside the point. The point that I was getting around to was that after that, he hadn't done dick as far as work. Where did he get all this shit that he's got? How did he build this fucking studio? And he's living off of people donating money to his dumb ass. And I'm fully against that.
No, he's not a wealthy person. I assure you, he's really not. He's a broke ass. Yeah, I don't know where all he gets his money. You get some from the YouTube deal. You get some from donations. I've personally donated to him. I've supported Adam for several years now. But I assure you, I've not seen his place, but my friend Ben has, and he's been there. It's nice. It's big, but I've watched enough of his videos to know. I mean, Adam is not a wealthy person. He doesn't have the ability to just buy a jet here and a jet there and go flying.
No, I'm not. No. Don't get. I'm not trying to say he's AJ or nothing. You know what I mean? I'm trying to say that he doesn't work for a living. He sits on his ass and does DMT and makes stupid fucking videos for a living.
Okay.
And lives off the American people. Lives off holding his fucking hand out. That's what really irritates me about him.
Well, at the same time, he doesn't force anybody to give up anything. He's never pointed a gun at anybody.
Well, yeah, but look, if he was a what am I trying to say? If he was a reporter, if he was like Luke Rudkowski, I can't remember how you pronounce his last name. Rudkowski. Well, if he was something like that, I'd be totally different, man. I'd be totally different. But he's not doing anything but running his mouth. If you want a radio show, Jack, go try to get on a radio show. Go try to get somebody to hire you to make.
He's actually had radio shows,
and they fired him. RT fired him.
Right. Well, there's political reasons there, but I mean, would it upset you if I told you that Luke Rudkowski actually was been there and recorded some of his DMT videos? I mean, they're buddies too. I've met Luke a couple times. I mean,
well, I'm not talking about Luke. I'm talking about Kokesh. Luke is out. Luke is overseas right now at the G8 summit, recording stuff and putting. You know what I mean? He's running We Are Change, not the Adam Kokesh show. You know what I mean?
I mean, and I don't want to get off on too much of tear, but I mean, believe it or not, Luke Rudkowski, and I'm not going to go into it, but he's got a significant dark side to himself as well. And I like Luke. I do. I'm certainly a fan of his work. He's not exactly a subscriber to the non-aggression principle, but and I'm certainly not running him on the ground. But he's not a saint as well, or either. But at the same time, I'm not a saint either. I've done some dastardly things, but I'd have to disagree with you on Adam sitting on his ass. You don't wind up with 5 or 6 or 10 or 20 million YouTube channels and 2,500 videos without doing the man on the street interviews that he does, having hundreds of
how many
maybe
fans?
Not
how many fans are there of Jackass? Come on, man, come on.
You mean the movie?
Yeah, I mean the crew, the crew of guys. They made 3 or 4 fucking movies. It doesn't. That's beside the point. He's not doing anything. He's not. I don't see him doing anything except trying to get arrested. He's trying to poke a stick at a big fucking bear.
Well, let me ask you this. Would it change your mind if I told you that I found value in his content and many of the things, not everything, because he's not a parent, but many of the things that I've learned is simply from watching Adam versus the Man videos? Would that change your mind at all? He has taught me some things. I look at him as somewhat of a teacher, and believe me, he's an asshole. He's a dickhead. I get it. I really, really do. I know him.
But he doesn't have a salient point in his own. He doesn't make a salient point on his own. The things that he says that are poignant are somebody else's words. He's just repeating them. They are the non-aggression principle. They are the agorist principles. They are the voluntarist principles. That's it. He's just rephrasing them.
Well, and you could say the exact same thing about me in the last 2 hours on this radio show because Stefan Molyneux, they're buddies, they're friends, and Stefan. I wouldn't consider Stefan a friend. I've met him a couple times, but I've learned a lot about non-aggression and peaceful parenting, and from him, I've learned a whole lot from Dana Martin. I mean, it's kind of like saying I own the intellectual property of a certain song because I played a C chord. Well, about half the songs ever published in the world have had a C chord. That doesn't mean that your music that you came up with because you strummed a C chord is any less valuable than someone who'd already done it before. That simply because they repeated the C chord. That's how I see it. Yeah, he's repeated a lot of things, but like I said, a lot of things on the show and a lot of things I teach my own children, I've learned from Stefan or Stefan Maloney or Adam or Dana Martin or lots of Ron Paul even. There's a whole lot of them.
Yeah. To each their own. I'm gonna say that at the very end. These are all my opinions, and they work for me. They don't work for everybody else. So
hey, the cool thing about it is you and I can be friends, and we can agree on certain issues about parenting. We just simply agree on whether or not Adam Kokesh is a douchebag or not.
Well, hey man, this has nothing to do. No, this was just to grill Adam for a minute.
No,
it's got nothing to do between me and you,
man. I say grilling, and honestly, this is the kind of radio, and I want to thank you for having me on. I know we got just a minute or two left, but I want to thank you for having me and keeping me, even if we have disagreements. I cannot stand radio where like someone mentions something and the host is of one opinion, and all of a sudden they just totally change.
Oh, no,
that is boring ass shit. I let
everybody talk. You can say whatever you want. If we agree to disagree, then that's great. And if you want to get all stupid and make yourself look like an asshole on my radio show, you're more than welcome to come on anytime you want.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
That's the way I see it.
And that's part of the reason.
That's great for the crowd, man. They're like, hey, look at that dickhead.
Again, that's why I said what I did say about Adam's DMT videos. He is a friend of mine. I do learn from Adam. I do support Adam Kokesh. I just do, but that's why I said at the beginning, I think his DMT videos are boring. They're pointless. I don't get it. Maybe if I tried DMT, maybe I'd have my mind changed. I don't know.
That shit will kill you. Hey, man, we're down to about the last 30 seconds.
Okay.
I definitely want to roll back to the video of Parker and his mom and the way you went through that, man. That was fantastic parenting. Okay. I hope that Parker gets a chance to come on sometime in the future. You've got my email. You've got my Skype. All you got to do is hit me up, and we'll get you locked in for a show.
Thank you so much.
Hey, man, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you sharing your philosophy. I appreciate you sharing all your parenting skills. I appreciate everybody that came to the chat tonight and listened.
If your audience wants to hear more, www.libertymovementradio.com, Mondays and Thursdays, the Caleb Leverett Radio Show. Thanks for having me, brother.
Hey, thanks, Caleb. I appreciate you.
Take care.
You too. Everybody out there, stay put for the next hour.